There is a secret thought, a warped belief, hiding in hearts like an unseen reef, that God's love is a license for sin, that Jesus' cross makes his justice obsolete. And Jude's church gave this doctrine a hidden seat that would seek to betray them like Judas at the last feast. The teaching hid within the gospel Jude had preached, for Jesus proved just how far God's mercy would reach when he poured out his blood for the betrayers, the vile, and the least. He showed just how deep and extreme his sacrifice of love would be as he poured out forgiveness for those drunk on their own passions and sensualities. Jesus' cross proved that he would go to those most deserving of punishment and offer them grace to freely drink. This is where the hidden belief would hide, inside God's astonishing mercy. It would say that since Jesus forgives our immorality so thoroughly, there's really no need for a moral authority. Since Jesus poured out the wine of his blood for any sin we could think of, then we might as well enjoy it fully and drink up. But Jude warned against this. God's love is not a license for licentiousness. Forgiveness does not justify excessiveness. Yet, the secret thought still thrived in its hiddenness. Within Jude's church, this teaching created a faction that spread this belief in its old cloaked fashion. Since Jesus poured out grace to cover the worst of our actions, doesn't that mean we are free to follow our passions? Surely he doesn't care, or has taken care, of whatever we choose to do here in our bodies. Surely his love will overlook any of our sins and sensualities. But when Jude heard news of this hidden forgery, he responded with a letter full of Old Testament stories to remind his church of God's moral authority. Jude begins in Exodus with how God poured out on his people grace through deliverance. Yet, even after the salvation they experienced, some, drunk on fear and sex, became disobedient. So God destroyed all the idolatrous. Next, in Genesis, Jude proves that no one is outside God's moral rule. For even the angels, when they pursued sensuality with women and procreation through their wombs, God subjected even them to eternal chains and unending doom. Jude then turns to the story of Sodom's destruction, how the people became like animals given over to their passions. Yet, what they found was not that they were filled with freedom. Instead, they drank the cup of punishment. Next, Jude raises the example of Cain, who, instead of doing good, instead of choosing to obey, chose to be filled with bloodlust and rage, and so became cursed for all his days. Jude then takes them to the story of Balaam, who received a prophecy for God's nation, but only gave it because someone paid him. He was killed for his greed, since dishonest gain was his motivation. Jude references Korah and his deadly rebellion. In his thirst for power, he denied the authority God gave to Aaron so the ground would open to consume and fell him. Again and again, Jude's short sermon proved to his congregation that God's love is not a license. The forgiveness of Jesus does not bring the rest of the Bible into moral silence. The greatest salvation the world has ever seen does not now mean anything goes for desire and greed. It does not now mean they could define their own standards for truth and sexuality. God's grace does not change his moral authority. Jude exposed the unseen reef. He corrected the warped belief hiding in their feasts by showing how God always brings about evil's defeat. But what does that mean for those who are guilty of drunkenly falling prey to this ancient false teaching? What hope is available for those whose passions have made them act less like a human and more like an animal? Jude ends his letter by telling his church how to treat the guilty, even the most abominable. He tells them to have mercy, to pursue them, to snatch them from the flames. He tells them how they can be saved. Like Jesus, they can show just how far God's mercy can reach. They can pour out his message of grace for the betrayers, the vile, and the least. And we can do the same. We can keep watch for this warped belief. We can guard our feasts from this unseen reef. And when we find it, we know just how to treat the betrayers, the vile, and the least. We correct them, but we correct them like Jesus. It's his love we repeat. We too can go to those most deserving of punishment and tell them that the grace of Jesus they may still freely drink. Hey everybody, I'm David with Spoken Gospel. Thank you so much for watching our video introducing the book of Jude. We are Spoken Gospel. We're a nonprofit ministry dedicated to coming alongside Bible readers, explaining what they're reading in the Bible and how it all points to Jesus. And you can join our ministry in two ways. One, come read the Bible with us. We have lots of free resources over at our website. Or two, we give all our resources away for free, and you can help make that possible by becoming a one-time or monthly donor. You can do all of that at our website, spokengospel.com.